just a couple of minutes before we start. As you know, this is the first Saturday afternoon class I'm teaching after our rains retreat. So I just finished a 3 months meditation retreat over at Ajahn Brahm. Very happy to see how many people come here still. So after all these teachings I've given you, you're still not enlightened yet. You have to come back again. It's nice to see you all. And of course, Bianca, she is teaching the retreat, they call it beginner's class, but it's just for those who want to get the basic understandings of the foundation of meditation, to begin that class. And that's next door. And she's an excellent teacher. She was one of the ones, who helped the designing of Ajahn Brahm in those early days many years ago. It's wonderful to see how much she would do. Done another minute to go. And the reason I try to keep on time is that because many people tune in from overseas, which is wonderful to see. And every now and again, when I travel overseas, then you meet these people. And even a little anecdote which got nothing much to do about meditation, but it's a beautiful anecdote, that when Leha, our ops manager, she was over in Singapore looking after her mother, who was getting very old and sick. And one morning she went to the market to get some food for her mum. This was in Singapore. And she saw a couple of monks over in Singapore going on alms round. And so she took the opportunity, because that was a quite rare sight. She took the opportunity to buy some food from the market. It was the correct time, so she could put food in the monks' bowls. And when she did, she asked her attendant, it's okay, I just want to put some food in the monks' bowls. And the attendant, this was in Singapore, said, oh yeah, sure, Leha. You know my name? Yes, because I also tune in to the Saturday afternoon meditation classes and also the Friday evening classes. And she was surprised that she was so well known. But not as well known as, he's not here, that's good, as Eddie. You know Eddie, don't you? Eddie Koo. He always asks a question at the end of every class. And it's amazing just how many people overseas know us. They tune in. It's a beautiful arrangement. Everything is for free. And they can just go and listen in. If they like it, they can stay. If they don't like it, and go somewhere else. And in all parts of the world, which is amazing. So it's now 3 o'clock. So what I usually do, used to do, still doing, at the beginning of these classes on Saturday afternoon, is to do a little bit of teaching about what meditation is and how it works. But if I haven't explained this to you before, one of the reasons I do this now, because I'm speaking to you, gathering your attention. I'm not quite sure what you were doing before this class, but sometimes we come here and go there, we do many, many things, and it can be quite busy. So the first 15 minutes, it doesn't really matter if I say anything profound. The point is I keep on talking, so in order for you to calm down. So when we start the meditation, you are kind of relaxed already. It's like an introduction. It's just getting your body and your mind into the right mood. And that is important. I know that At the same time as teaching here, just on Friday and Saturday, I'm also teaching a meditation retreat, or at least I'm supposed to be teaching a meditation retreat for the Singaporeans over in Janagrove, in Serpentine. At the end of that retreat, which I finished on Friday afternoon before coming here, that I got the other monks to take the Friday evening talk as well as this morning's talk, because tomorrow we're starting our Katina ceremony, the celebration which finishes the period of seclusion for the monks. So they're doing that, and I'm sure that everybody is very happy, with this arrangement. Sometimes getting the same old teacher to give the same old talks with the same old jokes. None of you are laughing. Sometimes people think that can be boring. But you know what sometimes I've also been told? Even some of those old stories, even the monks like hearing them again and again, because every time you hear whatever's being said, you always hear something new, a different angle on the story, or you're ready to listen and see something more relevant for you. And I say stories because I learned a long time ago that what people recognize and understand and remember more easily than anything else, more easily than any theory, is like a story, a tale, which relates to our lives. And when we tell the Dhamma, teachings of meditation or the teachings of Buddha, in the format of little tales and stories, number one, you can remember those stories, and number two, that you can always see a different angle on them every time you tell them. And even I see those different angles as well, different interpretations or different jewels in that beautiful story. And because of that, even I learn from my own stories, which I've told hundreds of times, just how to be able to let go and be at peace. And once you start to develop that experience of peace, you get appreciation of peace. The fact that it goes up your list of what's the most important. What would you like to focus on in the next 45 minutes? After a while, the thing which hardly anyone else focuses on in this world is that peace. It doesn't matter about anything else. So often in the world, you think, I should be doing something else. Oh, it's important I do this other thing. Oh, it's important I ring my family or something. I remember an old story that I don't know about you, but what you're afraid of. The one thing which I was afraid of was the dentist, especially when I was only about 7 or 8 years of age. And I remember one evening, just before I went to bed, my mother told me I had an appointment at the dentist the following day. That really scared me. And my mind started thinking, how can I get out of this? What strategy can I invent so I don't need to go to the dentist tomorrow morning? So I remember this. And so when I went into the bed that evening, I started thinking and planning and thinking. I didn't sleep well that night, even though I was only 6 or 7 or something. And in the morning, I woke up early, still thinking, how can I get out of this? And everything I thought of, I couldn't sort of make work. I was only 6 or 7 years of age. My mother knew all my tricks. And so I thought, oh no, this is terrible. I've lost all that sleep. I'm going to go to the dentist in the mornings. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be painful. And then I said, well, no choice now. So she dragged me to the dentist. You know what happened? That morning, honestly, when I got to the dentist surgery, the receptionist told me that my appointment had been cancelled. The dentist had got sick. That's one thing which I never really imagined could happen. So much so that all the worries and concern which we make, how much of it is really useful? That day, if I hadn't worried, I could have had a good night's sleep and not worried at all, and it would have been cancelled. These were the days when the dentist never sort of had a means of telling you an appointment was cancelled. Especially if they were sick, they didn't have any email or anything. So it was much more uncertain, everything. But that was good for me. So you learned things from that, not to predict, not to make strategies for something you think is going to be terrible, and instead just to live more in the moment as a little kid. Why shouldn't you? Why can't you? You know, you're enjoying your upbringing, your life, learning as you go along, learning without planning. And that's exactly what I do in meditation all those years. Every time I planned something, imagined something would happen. Every time. It's always something worse happens. It's not always worse. Sometimes I have unexpected meetings, things which I didn't anticipate happen. And it makes life enjoyable. Especially, you know, all the people I meet. This is something, I'm not quite sure why, but just 3 months I haven't seen many of you, now see you. And a lot of the time it's weird that I know most of you. I don't know why many of you are coming to the meditation this afternoon. I've been teaching about the last week of the Singaporean retreat. Still coming along again. I call you meditation junkies. But I don't mind. It's nice to see you. But seeing so many of old friends after so many years, another old friend just walked in. And these are all people I've known for such a long time. Sometimes, am I supposed to be your teacher, or what am I supposed to be? You're just like friends, colleagues, people I know and have a lot of joy with. Hi. So this is how I kind of enjoy my life. And all of those anecdotes I could tell, but I won't. They're secrets. People survive and they do well, not how they expect life to be. Much better than that, really. This is where we learn how to enjoy the surprises of life. And that's also, believe it or not, what you learn in meditation. The surprises of meditation. Things which you don't expect. This meditation works such and such deep ways. And things which kind of, there's no other word for it, like blow your mind. You see things you've never seen before. Experience things you thought were impossible. And it gets totally interesting. And one thing about the meditation, this is your own personal experience. You're not deluding yourself. Hi, please come in. Okay, he's doing something. Please come in. And you're not deluding yourself. This is real. It's not somebody else's experience. It's what you experience when you get calm and peaceful. I'm not sure about you, the old question, why you're here. I remember so early on in my life, I used to love solitude. Maybe it's because I was born in UK, in London, a very busy city. And the times when you could, wander off and find some beautiful places of nature, even in a city. I remember one place, it just comes to mind, just outside in the north of England, outside the town of Durham. I pause there because Durham is the way that most people pronounce that town or city over in the UK. But that's not the right way to pronounce it. I was asking directions to get to Durham, and the local person said, "Where? Durham? There's no Durham around here. There's a Durham." When I pronounced it properly, Durham. "Oh, Durham! Yeah, it's just over there." I kind of love that sort of almost like an interesting way of pronouncing different words. And after a while, you got used to those different words and you have some fun. It's, just finding a little place in the middle of the moors or in the middle of some farmland and just go there. And it was an isolated lake. And there was so many ducks, birds, and other wildlife on that lake. Because it was remote, people couldn't disturb them. So when I went there, I was very careful to sit peacefully and try and make no noise. And just sit with my eyes open and watch the wildlife which was there. And they weren't afraid of me. So you could watch them with so much joy and happiness. Even one of those stories on my recent retreat over in Serpentine, that one evening, getting very peaceful, very still, I was doing some walking meditation outside my hut, and you saw it was in the evening time, at sunset, so the light was getting dull, but nevertheless I saw this blob. That's how I felt it was. A blob, a dark blob, about this big, just coming next to me. You know what that dark blob was? An echidna. Beautiful animals. There's not that many around, but there's enough. And it just came kind of close to me. It was just kind of saying hello. That's what I think anyway. And of course, they're not afraid of a monk at all. They could feel that your pacifism. But it was a beautiful experience to be in a part of nature where wild animals can roam and feel free and feel at ease. So those joyful things which are out there in the world to spot, but only if you know how to be still. Does that make sense to you? Great. Anyway, that's just a little bit of introduction. The introduction is not giving you new information, but trying to calm every one of you down. You've left the world outside, come into this brick building, and now closing your eyes and going even deeper into peace. And again, I know a few people came in late. If those of you who have come for the introduction to meditation class, that's supposed to be in the room to my right. But anyway, you're here now, so just enjoy here instead. Okay, so please close your eyes. I'm going to rehydrate. You know, there's a couple of people who have got their heads bowed down, even though they are experiencing sleepiness. I never want to disturb them, honestly, because whatever reason why, they're tired. If they need to sleep, I welcome them. And if you are sleepy, please don't ever fight it. If you're at peace with it, I really mean deeply at peace with any tiredness, you will find that after a short while, usually, your energies will come back. It's like your body is always creating energy inside of yourself. And after a while, when you don't waste that energy with fighting, trying to get something or change something, you'll find that the energy builds and builds. You kind of wake up naturally. Your body straightens up and becomes comfortable. I remember one of the first times that happened to me. I was clear enough to know I never did that. The body straightened up itself. I was just fortunate enough to watch it. And then when the body became comfortable and awake, it wasn't restless, it was a very comfortable and pleasant wakefulness. And since that time I realized that's how you get the body to have energy and the mind also to have energy. Even your mind, as you meditate, my mind anyway, gets brighter and brighter the longer I meditate. The energy of the body is there, but the energy is that tranquil energy to calm everything down so everything looks peaceful without falling asleep. And the mind, instead of thinking so many different things, can be beautifully poised in this moment. Just like that mind I was saying, the beginning part of that mind, where you can sit by a lake and just watch so many beautiful animals play in the afternoon sunshine on that lake. The mind wakes up, the body wakes up. So to start with, how does your body feel? We start with our body. I look at my body. I was very tired this morning, I don't know why, but my body feels good now. Awake, poised, rested. So first of all, I do a general awareness of my body. Have I got any tense parts of my body? Any aches? Any bruises or problems? The general thing I do first. And I notice, this is just me, but it's an example. I notice I do suffer from hay fever. This is the beginning of the hay fever season for me. So I feel my nose all stuffed up. Even though I've taken some medicine, it's not working yet. I can feel it. It's not uncomfortable, it's just unusual for me. First thing, I make sure I don't worry about anything. That just makes things worse. And the next, I see what I can do to calm it. I don't try to breathe in forcefully. I've noticed if there's any ache or pain or bruise or anything and I use force when I try, it always gets worse. Instead, I learn how to let it be. To relax it, rest it. When you're meditating, you're not running a race, so you don't need much air. So your breath can be a small amount of oxygen going into your lungs. When I don't worry about my breath, it gets really comfortable. But now I go to the normal. Now the breath has calmed down. It really has. I start to go to what I usually do, which is from my feet, relaxing my body, sweeping my attention upwards. And I love starting with my toes. I never thought you could be aware of your toes unless they were in pain. But now, any time I wish, I can put my attention on my toes. Ask, how are you? Just like I can ask you, how are you? Now I ask my toes, how are you? And those toes, as I get more aware of them, it always happens, they relax. They get peaceful. And the experience of feeling my own toes with my mind is more and more pleasant. This is where I start building up the strength of relaxation, starting with toes. Once I get good at relaxing my toes, then I start relaxing the whole body, going upwards, going up to the rest of my feet. As a monk, former scientist, I love experimenting. And so sometimes I just stayed with my toes. They feel so pleasant. Let's see if I need to go anywhere else. My whole meditation takes off from the toes and goes no further upwards, but it gets really peaceful and blissful. I never thought that was possible. But you do it anyway, and it works. So I can feel, now I feel my whole feet. And I try not to miss anything out of my feet. Feel the heels, the uppers, soles, ankles. And as I begin to have more awareness of my feet, relax it all. How do you relax it? When we are aware of things, we tend to interfere with them. We tend to tighten them without realizing it. Now my job is to see if there's any place in my feet I'm causing tension, and then take that cause away. And all my feet relax to the max. Every toe, every little square millimeter of skin, every bone. It feels really nice. And then I kind of like lingering. But anyway, I now feel that my feet are fully relaxed. So I go up to the legs. Usually split the legs into three. The lower part around the knees and the thighs. Start with the lower legs. I include not just the skin, but the muscles underneath the skin, the bones and the ligaments, blood vessels, the whole lot. Are my blood vessels all running smoothly? If there is any blockage, you can feel an ache. But my legs are, the blood is running smoothly, the lymph is running smoothly. Can't feel any blockages. It's just a nice little system of sending energy, taking away waste products, which is working perfectly. There's a special feeling of feet happiness, which is different than any other part of the body, or leg happiness. When I know it's happening, the lower legs are comfortable, at ease. They get to a certain point, I know they're going to get easier. They're not doing anything, they're just sitting there. I go to my knees, it's the same. They're not tired, they're not bruised, they're not having to heal because of some injury. And even my knees, they feel so comfortable. And I kind of let them relax as much as they want. It also means being a meditator who spends so much time on the floor sitting meditation. I'm grateful. This is my 75th year on this planet. And my legs, my knees, they're doing really well. They don't cause me pain or irritation. And they go up to my thighs. I just focus that area. And I ask my thighs, how are you? Is there anything I can do for you to make you more at ease? And those thighs, it's like you can experience them. There's no pain there at all for me right now. If there ever was a pain, I would just focus on it. I wouldn't run away. If necessary, I would move my body for more comfortable posture, or sometimes if the meditation was deep enough, focus on that area. I'd imagine it expanding, diluting the feeling of pain or distress until it kind of vanished. But right now, it's just the normal feelings of the blood and other bodily things running through their passageways in my legs, happily, slowly, peacefully. All is calm. And I feel my butt, my bottom. It's always a feeling there. That feeling is because of the pressure of my body, my torso, being passed through that interface between the butt onto the cushion. But I know as long as that's not too strong a feeling, and it's pretty even, it will pass away. After a while you can't feel it anymore. You don't have to do anything, just to do the best you can. And that's more than enough. Then I realize I have relaxed my whole lower part of the body. Relaxed it carefully. And I know it can sit there for quite a long time now without any problem. So then I go up my back first. Time in my life I really injured my back laying concrete. And I couldn't stand straight for about 3 months. It got better, of course. But now I feel the muscles in my back. And I make sure they're curved in a sensible way. And once I get that curvature in my spine, it feels good. And I know that it can be sustained so easily over the course of the meditation. Then I go on the inside of my body. I can feel generally there's no problems there this afternoon. But sometimes you may have an ache in the tummy, an irritation in one of the intestines. Today everything is nicely relaxed. But nevertheless, I do sweep the awareness up my body through the colon and intestines till I get to my stomach. If I see anything anywhere, I will pause and just give some attention together with kindness on that part of the body. It's amazing how these things disappear when you're given kindness. Just like many of you, when you're carrying the weight of the world by yourself, it's almost impossible. Someone comes and cares for you, even volunteers to give you a hand. It's not the hand you need, it's the kindness. And that kindness waves away a lot of the pain. It vanishes. So I sweep up my body with kindness. Go to all those big organs, stomach, the lungs, the heart. Sometimes I don't know whether I really am watching my heart, just that area. Anything I see there, I give it kindness. It relaxes. It doesn't cause me any problem. And then, at the top of my body, I get to my shoulders. My goodness, I don't know why, but my shoulders are always more tense than they should be. So, one of the ways which I abandon that tension is actually going the opposite direction, scrunching them up as tight as I can, squeeze my shoulders together, and then I let go. And it always gets more relaxed than when I started. It's a simple way of relaxation. And then I go down my arms. As I go down my arms, past my elbows, forearms, wrists, hands and fingers. All the time, the same method, relaxing everything as I go along, giving them peace, kindness. If ever you need any help, fingers, of course I will help you. And just that amount of confidence makes even every finger be at ease. I feel my fingers kind of sinking into softness, into safety, into kindness. They don't need to feel tense. They really do relax to the max. And they go up to the neck, and on top of the shoulders. You notice the reason why the neck can get tense is because your head is not properly positioned on top. So in order to find out the best position, I've got my eyes closed. I lean to the left and the right, push the head forward and back, wiggle it around until I can find the best position, the optimum position for my neck today. When you find that position, you feel so much more comfortable. And lastly, I go to my feelings around, sensations around the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. I don't close my eyes tightly. I don't squeeze them shut. I let the top lid fall on the lower lid softly. So it's closed, but not shut tight. That's all I need. And around the nose, especially today, I said I got an irritation from hay fever. I can feel sort of that muscles in the nasal sinuses kind of reacting fearfully with what I perceive as irritation. But I let it be. It's trying to heal itself. And then around the mouth, closed but not shut tight. I'm relaxed as I can possibly be, using the feedback given by mindfulness. See how it's improving or getting worse. And noticing it's the kindness which is doing most of the work. To relax, reassure, and make all the parts of my body feel at ease. And then I pause, be aware of my whole body, not separating it into parts anymore, but feeling as a unit, cared for, relaxed. And I'm happy. And I can't avoid just indulging in that happiness of bodily peace. usually about a minute or two. And then from the body awareness, I go to the mind. The body's been looked after. It seems to be okay now for me to go and to see and calm my mind down. I try and continue on almost seamlessly. My body is at peace. Now I lead my mind into being at peace. First of all, I kind of ask my mind, how peaceful are you? I'm not looking at the comfort of my body now. I'm looking at the peace of my mind. And as soon as that's what is important for you, it starts to get peaceful. It's like I know the causes of peace. Two of those causes, I give up concern for the future. I don't care about what's happened in the past, that can't be changed now. Now I'm just aware of this present moment. Just now. It's more than good enough. With no worries or concerns at all about even the next moment. I don't worry what's going to come up next. Just like an interesting unknown sequence of events called my life. And already being in the present moment causes me to be peaceful and encourages me to go even more into the present moment, into what I call silence. I can't describe now what happened last moment. No point in trying to think about what's happening next. Just here now, peaceful, silent. And I notice how it feels. If it's real peace and silence, it's joyful. So much of the cause is worry, fear, disappointment, depression about the past. So much of that is gone. That lives in a place and I'm not there in this moment. I'm now. It's usually at this point I just can't keep speaking. I become quiet and let my mind, your mind too, carry on in silence. I'll ring the gong when it gets close to the end of the meditation period. Right now, I'm going quiet. getting close to the end of the meditation. Not ended yet. Now's the opportunity to see how you feel, to see what this meditation has induced in your mind, how peaceful you are. All meditation creates peace. Sometimes we don't pause to notice it, to notice its result on us. Peace of mind leads to health of body. How do you feel and what worked for you today? And then, when you're ready, come out of the meditation slowly. I will ring the gong, kind of just to confirm this. A little smile at the end is always great. And now, as usual, it's an opportunity for any questions. Before asking the audience in front of me, is from the computer. The reason I do this, because if you get quiet and peaceful in meditation, basically you just can't ask a question. Mind is too still. Here we go. And after these questions, open it up for the ones who want to ask a question from the floor. Question 1. Dear Ajahn, question from Indonesia. Please kindly remind us about what mindfulness is and how it plays a role in working with meditation. Mindfulness is another word for awareness. You can feel. For example, I may have no feelings at all in my finger. I have, it's fine. But the more feelings I have in my finger, the more I can be aware of and see just how life actually happens just in the finger. And the mindfulness offers me the opportunity to get feedback. I can see how things change. And sometimes I can feel that just focusing on just one finger and relaxing it to the max, how it feels so much more peaceful and happy. So mindfulness is being aware of your body. But it's not just the body. Afterwards, you're mindful of really interesting stuff. Just your mind. I should just pause though, because I do a lot of teaching over many years of people with cancer. This can be a very nasty disease. But then with mindfulness, it's amazing what you can do. It's kind of boggling. And so sometimes we get people with cancer and the cancer's just no longer there. A bit of mindfulness can do amazing stuff. Not for everybody, but for many people. Then the mindfulness of the mind. Why do thoughts come in your mind? Why do they affect us? One beautiful way of learning how not to allow them to disturb us. And it's just a simple teaching I read many, many, many years ago. It comes from the Chinese Lao Tzu. And he was the one, I've mentioned this many times before, but it's such a beautiful teaching. He was the one who was walking with a disciple. They were in noble silence, they weren't allowed to say anything. And after a while, they saw this beautiful sunset. And the disciple forgot the rule and said, "Wow, what a beautiful sunset." And the master said, "You can't go and walk with me anymore. You broke the important rule of silence." And then his friends would say, "Why are you so strict? What's wrong when you're walking quietly, see a beautiful sunset? What's wrong with saying what a beautiful sunset?" And that's when the master said, when he said what a beautiful sunset, he was not watching the sunset anymore. He was watching the words. When you think, you're not watching the event, you're describing it, trying to capture it in words which always fail. It's much nicer, you see much more of the sunset when you're quiet. That's why, when I was a scientist, I was not sort of an aesthete, but once you start meditating, you can see so much beauty in the world, and even actually so much beauty in sounds. And even, as many of you know, that sometimes in my eyes, this carpet in here, I don't know how long this carpet has been here, the same. But every time I look at it after meditation, it looks so beautiful. I appreciate it more. At first I thought I was going crazy. Why is it so beautiful? That's what happens with the mind. When it gets still, you see so much joy in whatever you perceive. So that's when you see more deeply, when you see it quietly. Next one, from Germany. How do I calm pain when it is too strong and breath is short after a tumor operation? Hard to relax then. What can I do? It seems like I stand still and pain gets worse. With your mindfulness, you can find out, experiment, what makes the pain less? What makes it less hurtful? What position? How long do you have to be still for? So you soon learn. That's what mindfulness is supposed to do for you. You learn, when I sit like this, it's not comfortable. When I sit like that, it's not comfortable. After a while, you can find the best posture where you are really comfortable. And sometimes it's amazing. One of the things which I remember, it's an old story again. When I was a young monk in Thailand, bad toothache, middle of the night. These things always happen in the middle of the night. There's no telephone anywhere close to those old monasteries. But I did once notice there was a box there with a cross on it. It was like the medicine cabinet. I went in there, I went to open it up, and you know what was inside of it? Nothing. Totally empty. It looked impressive, but there's nothing inside of it. Oh my goodness. There's no way I could get rid of that pain. And it was really bad. And so I tried everything, but eventually what worked? What worked in totally unexpected. I always heard the word let go. Have you heard that word before? What does it mean? I found out what it meant. I let go. Really let go. And honestly, all the pain went immediately, which was, I couldn't understand. One moment, I didn't know what to do. No way I could sleep. Because when you're in great pain, you always very have to move. But now, let go. There's no more pain in my mouth. It's weird. And eventually I went to bed. When I woke up in the morning, I had an ache in my jaw. It wasn't that bad. But the way that I could just let it go so easily, you can if you do the letting go properly. So that is weird. But give it a try. And let go. And let go means letting go of all of your expectations and hopes. Letting go is not making a deal and you take your pain to court afterwards. You're supposed to be able to disappear, you didn't. You had to be so gentle and calm. Now a talk from India. My boyfriend suffers from multiple sclerosis, which means he has pains randomly happening in his body the entire day. He also suffers from depression, not able to work. You can understand how you could suffer from depression if you have multiple pains all the day. But you know people with multiple sclerosis, and sometimes it's amazing. They learn to live with it. It can be done. That's why people who have multiple sclerosis, sometimes, you see the great examples, and they still live a life. And you ask how you do that. There's some sort of motivation, some sort of beauty, some sort of happiness in the life, where they can counter the pain and disappointment with joy. Last question. Oh my goodness. I'm just reading it out, I'm not making it up. Susan from Germany. I'm so happy you are back. Are the formless attainments within the realm of the mind? Or is only Nibbana beyond the mind? Yes. Well done. That's a technical question. So it's probably not worthwhile keep on explaining it, but it's true. The mind, I was telling this to it's the last question, and I was telling this to the Singaporeans who were meditating at the retreat over in Jhana Grove, finished this morning. And for those retreatants, some of them were really good meditators. And one of the last interviews, I was kind of surprised and I was impressed with them. And so when they asked a question similar to this, I thought, well, why not? Let's just give the full answer. If you can't understand now, it doesn't matter, because the teaching is true and you kind of remember it, and later on in your life it really helps. So this is where the way of meditation, the deep meditations which we do, the reason for them is that I think you already noticed from some of the talks, you may not have experienced it totally, but when you meditate, your body vanishes. Just, you can't feel your hands, your body disappears. And there's sometimes people say that once the body has vanished, you can't see, your eyes closed. If you open your eyes, you won't be able to see anything. You can't hear anything, and you can't smell, taste, or touch. You can't feel the body anymore. It's just, you're gone, but you're perfectly aware. In the sixth of the six senses, the mind, you know. And imagine just you're so free of the five senses, my goodness, you go back again later. But that time is very, very beautiful and peaceful. And then, what happens next? You get into these jhanas, which I love talking about. And then those jhanas, even the first of those jhanas, you're free from the five sense world. And there are all these mad stories, crazy stories. I say mad, crazy. You understand what they are, they're beautiful. Even like, to make it clear, this is even you, one of the people who used to come here to meditate years ago. he just told his wife he's going to go into the bedroom to meditate for half an hour, 40 minutes. Not a monk, not a great meditator yet, but he soon will be. And when he went into his bedroom to meditate, usually 30 minutes, 40 minutes, after an hour he hadn't come out of the bedroom, so his wife went in there to check how he was. And this guy, sitting perfectly still, I mean really perfectly still. She looked at him closely, she couldn't even see him breathing. She freaked out. She called the ambulance. It was a Sunday afternoon. An ambulance came for Charlie Gardner's, and when it came, with everything making a loud noise, da 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 da, and the ambos, or the medics, rushing into the house, feeling his pulse, no pulse, feeling his breathing, no breathing. They got the machines out just to check for sure, and he was not breathing, not metabolizing. It seemed he was dead. They rushed him to the hospital, not that far away. And when the doctor on duty, wonderful good fortune, the doctor on duty was, his parents had migrated to Australia from India. And so he hadn't really known too much about Indian culture, but he'd heard his parents and family talk about people who go in such deep meditation they can stop breathing, stop their pulse, everything, like they're dead. And the doctor had heard from his wife that what caused it was meditation. He'd been meditating. And for those of you who have read some sutras, who are more scholastic about meditation, you may have read that the difference between being dead and being in deep meditation the body remains warm. When you're dead, you go cold. That's what it says in the sutras, and this was a great example of that. His body was still warm. It didn't go cold. So the doctor, that was enough of a hint to not send him to the morgue immediately, but to, in those days, put defibrillators on his body, little like shocks. So he moved above the was it a stretcher or the table or whatever. And I've seen sort of, not photos, but videos of someone having a defibrillator shock to try and get the heart going again. It's really violent. He never felt any of that. How do I know this, what he felt? He told me about it afterwards. He wasn't dead. He was in a beautiful, peaceful, blissful state. And eventually, many defibrillators on him, he just decided, time to come out of the meditation. That's simple. I talked to him, I kind of asked him all the relevant questions. Could you hear anything? No. Were you aware? Oh yeah. Fully aware, but not of my body. Fully aware of my mind. And then I just decided to come out, and then beep, beep, beep. Those machines where they show the heartbeat and other stuff, they're always working normally. And the funny stuff about this, why I love saying, I've said it many times before here, I asked him afterwards, I said, what was the worst part of that experience? And he said, the worst part, there's only one worst part. I was so healthy afterwards, the doctor let me walk home. Walk home. Didn't you stay overnight? No, nothing wrong with me. So what was the bad part of the experience? He said, the scolding I had to endure from my wife. Don't you ever do that again. It was like a real experience. And because of experience like that, that's the deepest part of the meditation. What happens? everything stops. Become really peaceful. Please don't be scared. That's the best happiness you've ever had. And the afterglow afterwards, especially if you just avoid your partner, so you can focus on the what I call the afterglow of meditation. It's beautiful. And you feel so healthy afterwards. Now that might not be what many of you expect, but you've got it anyway. So that's the answer to those 4 questions. Because I've gone over time, especially with that last question, is there any other questions from the floor? Gone. Great. If anyone has a question afterwards, you can come and ask personally. But now, I'm trying to keep to the time scales. So I'm now going to bow 3 times to Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, and then the formal part of the meeting will be finished.